Cortes, and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We're continuing the NFC South and the NFL Draft 2024, and today we're talking about the New Orleans Saints. And honestly, I don't know why everyone has them so low in the season. I thought their draft class is pretty solid, But then again, I think if we were talking about the current Saints, the Derek Carr and the Dennis Allen head coaching, and will they let him go? Will they trade him? Will he play? Has he lost a step? Who knows? Questions galore. But I don't like the Saints, but I do like rookies getting opportunities to play in the NFL, and they got some fan favorites on this one. So we're talking about them Saints. New Orleans. I don't know why I hate you so much. Maybe because you always break my Buccaneers heart. I don't know. But I feel like this draft class is in a way to solidify Derek Carr's position as starting quarterback, Dennis Allen's employment as the Saints, and to hopefully not look back on this and say, we wasted our time. And I feel like they did a good job by swinging for the fence, and they got a solid one. With the 14th pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints selected Talasi Fuanga, offensive tackle, Oregon. I am so sorry. I had his name memorized, and I literally lost it while recording. Ain't that something? Offensive tackle, Oregon State. There were a lot of tackles. There's a lot of valuable tackles, a lot from the Pac-12 too, funny enough. And the Saints needed. They've been going through situations with their aging offensive tackle and a potentially offensive tackle that has not been developing well. So to protect your quarterback, you need to get a replacement, and nothing screams, let's get a protection for a quarterback, than a solid, young, talented left tackle. Now, I don't have the stats in my head, but I didn't think Derek Carr was really getting sacked that much. But an offensive tackle, especially a left tackle in today's NFL, will probably be taken almost as consistently as a great quarterback. If you can protect your quarterback and he'd be a C- quarterback, but you can hold him long enough and make him to a B+ caliber, I think they'll take that versus a mediocre offensive tackle to protect your A+ quarterback. I believe that's the trade-off between the two. This obvious guy is definitely a day one starter. He's coming in because the Saints need to protect Derek Carr to pretty much keep the conversation of, yes, he was the right choice to go through. Hopefully the Falcons don't go through that with their own quarterback situation. Still mad about that whole situation. But to me, this one moves the needle. Atlanta, this one does. So to me, this is a home run pick. And I hate to say that because they're my arch rival. And I have to admit that was a good pick. And then they said, but wait, there's more! With the 41st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints got Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, Alabama, and I was like, no! Why was he still there? Oh, I thought he would be gone by now, but why is he still there? Oh, and last time I checked, I think the Saints traded to get him. I think they did. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they? If not, it's even worse. If they didn't try to get him, I mean, he fell to their laps. He was one of the top corners being talked about. Heck, he was being talked about between the whole Nate Wiggins and Cooper from Iowa. They were always talking about that, like, well, after Arnold and Mitchell from Toledo, after those two, these are the three guys coming in. Like, no, and he went to my arch rivals. He went to the Saints, where Marshawn Lattimore owns Mike Evans. Great. Another potential 10 years of dominant defensive backs containing my Buccaneer receivers. But it was a good pick. Because I know Saints fans, you probably heard, because I listen to you guys' local show. It's a good show. Even though I'm not a Saints fan, I still like good programming. There were talks about Marshawn Lattimore, whether he's valuable as a trade, whether they're going to trade him, whether they're going to pay him, the basic. And sadly, the situation when it comes to a lot of good teams and a lot of teams in general, the fact that sometimes your best player, is he too expensive? Is it not worn up? Or does it just feel like we may be best to trade him to get more capital, to get more, potentially, more people to accommodate for that? Kool-Aid considered to be the backup to Paulson in the left corner, and tell me you are not thinking that Kool-Aid and Marshawn being this dynamic duo threat that they will probably shut down every receiver in the NFC South and make us all miserable. That is the hope. That is the hope. So I feel like as much as I don't want to give the Saints any credit, this is a really good pick. And I'm hoping for their sake they keep Lattimore. Let's keep this Lattimore thing, if you can, going a little bit longer. But we'll, of course, we'll see it by the trade deadline. If the Saints are in a prime position to win the division or are still on a steady track, I think they will keep Lattimore and try to push this last season before making a decision, because that might be the case with Derek Carr as well and Dennis Allen. So for the Saints' sake, I feel like there's enough. Their first two picks made me feel that if you can keep the core together right now, let's see how far you can take this moving forward. If the season falls apart, then of course do what must be done. But I feel like on paper, this Saints team looks like they're ready to go. And I still don't get why people are viewing the Saints as such a bad team. I feel like as long as the Saints still have that defensive mindset and still have the capability to do so, I don't see why people are not looking at the Saints as they should be just as a threat as the Falcons are and as Tampa is to winning this division. And these two picks just says, yeah, don't forget about us. Then they did nothing. But then again, that's probably why the Kool-Aid pick made the most sense. They got 2 home runs in the first 2 picks and literally had to just say, we got nothing to trade, I guess we wait. And then they made a very unique choice that I was actually quite surprised that the Saints of all teams picked him up. There were some parts of me thinking that he was going to go to a team like New England and Denver, because for some reason they were going to get another quarterback to back up a quarterback. But with the 150th pick in the 5th round, the New Orleans Saints select Spencer Rattler, quarterback, South Carolina. I remember Spencer Rattler on that Netflix documentary show QB1. Justin Field was also on that, but Spencer Rattler was another quarterback on that list. And I remember he went to Oklahoma, and just because I watched those documentaries, I just happened to follow to see where his career went. Went to Oklahoma, and then some nobody, Caleb Williams guy. If you don't remember Caleb Williams, don't worry about it. But this Caleb Williams guy came in, took his job in a rivalry game against Texas, won it for them. I think he went on to USC, won a Heisman, and then became the first overall pick. But if you don't remember who Caleb Williams is, it's okay. It's okay if you don't. And then Spencer Rattler was the odd man out. And I'm honestly, sometime when I see quarterback get drafted, I'm not drafted, when they get recruited to a school, mainly a big school, their choice, especially that the backup, capacity, and then they go to a school where you're thinking, no disrespect to South Carolina, guys, but it just feels like Spencer goes from Oklahoma, and you're thinking, well, go to TCU, go to Oklahoma State, stay in the Big 12. No, let's go to the SEC, and let's go to South Carolina that has not been considered a relevant program since Marcus Lattimore, the running back, under the Steve Spurrier era, was considered great. Is it Marcus Lattimore? Sorry, I got Marshawn Lattimore and I got Marcus Lattimore, so if I confuse those names, I'm sorry. But those of you who know South Carolina know the running back that was a beast before he had that devastating and insane injury that literally probably cost his future. But he was still great in South Carolina. He's still one of my favorite running backs in college, even to this day. Still one of the great. He literally helped South Carolina become, nationally recognized, and I'm proud of that. But Spencer Rattler, South Carolina, he comes here, and it was funny enough that he was even all that inconsistency, lost his job, all that stuff, moved different school. He was still viewed as, well, after all these quarterbacks, the Bo Nix and the Drake May and Daniels and Williams, he was the next quarterback up. Like, he was viewed as, hell, day 3 happened, it was always talked about, hell, even after day 2, but day 3, they were talking about, where is Spencer Rattler going to go? And I was like, this guy's getting a lot of attention, when I honestly thought that college football did not give him any attention. They probably viewed him as, well, another failed job at quarterback. He still got drafted, so he still made it to the NFL. And with the situation with Derek Carr, that confidence is waning on the coaching staff and everything, there's a lot on the line, Spencer Rattler might be in a prime position to say, I don't have to prove anything. I'm looking forward to what he does in preseason because Spencer Rattler might just be like, maybe Spencer Rattler's like a Cooper Rush. I'll just hang out here and we'll see what happens. And if I get called in, I'll do what I do. And I have nothing to prove. But he's in a situation of he has nothing to really to prove to anybody, but he's still value to value to them. To the point that if he gets thrust into the starting job by some reason, and he does 3-5 for whatever reason, I don't think people are going to say, well, that was a wasted pick. They're going to say, well, he was picked at 150. I mean, no one really thought a 150 quarterback was going to be, great. I mean, that's kind of hard. I mean, Brock Purdy is a one-time thing, guy. You can't keep bringing that up on every argument. So to me, Spencer Rattler has nothing to prove, and he's in a great position to just sit and wait because for all he know, he might have a new head coach next year. He might. This whole Dennis Allen thing with Derek Carr could all fall apart, and Spencer Rattler might have a new head coach to say, let's see what Spencer Rattler can do, and that's a whole other story. But Spencer Rattler's in a good position. Then, still in the 5th round with the 170th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Bud Means, wide receiver, Pittsburgh. I think with the Michael Thomas situation, I feel like the receiving core of the Saints has pretty much just been Chris Olave with occasion of Rashid Shaheed on the outside, and Juwan Johnson throwing some time here and there. I feel like another added receiver team makes the most sense. Bud Means coming in makes just more depth potentially. Maybe it's a diamond in the rough here and there somewhere. Besides Chris Olave, I feel like no receiving core is safe, so there's probably an open opportunity for number 2. And with a 3 receiver set formation like most NFL teams do, Bud will get some playing time. The question is, what can he do without playing time? And the way the Saints go, he could find a spot before you know it. So I'm giving him a later, but that later could be week 9. I mean, he probably could be there before week 8, but that means like he gets like almost 6 catches for 75 yards a game kind of thing, if that's what I impact. But not a bad pick either. Another good solid one. Then with the 175th pick in the 5th round, the New Orleans Saints selected Jalen Ford, linebacker, Texas. I think Jalen Ford is probably meant to potentially be the successor to Demario Davis. I know that's blasphemous to say, but Davis has been a captain of this defense, and to me, the face of the Saints defense after Michael Jenkins retired. Yes, I like him more than Cameron Jordan. And I feel like if the time comes where he calls it a career, that's going to be a massive hole in that defense. So I see them getting Ford in here potentially to be his potential replacement in the future. I feel like the situation will call for. He might get some playing time here and there. I'm still going to give him a now ranking because I believe the situation may call for that he'll get some playing time. Not so much rotation, but mainly in packages. So keep an eye on Ford. I believe this guy could be an impact sooner rather than later. But I do believe he is there to eventually replace Davis when time comes for him. With a 199th pick, now we're in the 6th round, the New Orleans Saints select Christian Boyd, defensive tackle, Northern Iowa. Small school going to the big NFL. So, level of competition always comes to mind. A defensive tackle position that even Division 1A division schools have problem in the NFL of being manhandled by other grown men. And sometimes double teamed and permanently being pushed aside and be like, you play defensive tackle, you're nothing more than a giant teddy bear that I pick up at Build-A-Bear. So, there must have been something spicy, something surprising, something there that can be developed and molded into something great for the Saints. Boyd, funny enough, is projected to be the backup to Saunders at the right defensive tackle position. So there must be something there that they are seeing that they just feel like, yes, he went to a small school, but that does not anyway take away his talent. So when I see this happen, I'm inspired, I am hopeful, and maybe he'll make some noise. For all I know, he might be the surprise pick of the draft for the Saints, even more so than the first two. But Boyd is projected to be a rotational player from day one. As much as it seems to be like, well, that's blah, that's crazy. I'm like, crazy, yes, but I see Boyd as a now. To me, he is now valuable. So keep an eye on Boyd. If his small school but high talent dictates, he'll be making noise in week 1. With the last pick in the 7th round, with a 239 selection, the New Orleans Saints selected Josiah Ezerim, offensive tackle, Eastern Kentucky. So we go from one small school to another small school, and we go with the offensive tackle side of the ball. So this guy, Trevor Penning, is viewed as the backup for both left and right tackle. One, because he has not developed the way the Saints want, even though he was drafted very highly, and he potentially just got replaced by the upcoming Oregon offensive tackle. Amir is currently viewed as a 4th depth chart projection, so clearly development player is definitely in the works. But with Trevor Penning being viewed as not developing to the way they want to, and Ryan Rankin is another player they're feeling about injuries, he might get a bump up just based on his play style and just positivity, his work ethics, and injuries helping him in that way. So even though it seems like he is going to be elsewhere, I'm going to say he will get playing time this year later because of injuries and lack of confidence in plays of others. And sometimes that's all the opportunities that some players need. It's a sad thing to say, but to succeed, he will need others to fail. Okay, that was kind of harsh. So that's the Saints. What do I say about the Saints' grade? I see them much better. But do I see him in the conference championship? No, but I see him in the divisional. Do I see him win the division? I can see him win the division. This draft class makes me feel very confident, especially the first two. Big hitters. So, pardon me, man. So I'm going to say they are better. I mean, they were a 9-win team last year, and they just had a tie-breaking and conference, mumbo-jumbo that caused them from winning the division. If the Saints just take this seriously, they can get a 10-win. They can be a 10-win team and win this. Even though people will say the entire NFC South has the easiest record. No division has all 14 with the easiest records. Like, I think they're like within the top 8. The 14 are like in the top 8 of easiest. So that should dictate that the Falcons, Bucks, and Saints should be considered potential division winners. If the schedule is easy and the draft class dictates it and the players they have should, illustrate it, I feel like the Saints could win this division. But I might just be saying that even though I don't like the Saints. I'm not a Saints fan because they're division rivals to my Bucks. But I'm just saying, guys, this just feels like the Saints could surprise us all, and I'm going to sit here and say, yeah, I didn't see the surprise. I kind of was thinking, yeah, the evidence is right there. Of course they're going to be division winners. Because this division might just have one, maybe two, but I'm still saying just one playoff spot. And that's the Saints. So if you've been watching, you know what team I'm leaving last because it's my favorite team and I have to dress up for it. So next time we conclude the NFC South by talking about my favorite team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in their quest for a 4-time division title. I don't believe that makes sense, thinking about Tampa that way. But let's take a look at the draft class and we'll find otherwise. So until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you very much for watching.